All right, let's go ahead and start. 1, 2, 3. All right, for the first one, we have to solve for Z. I would have highlighted the Z, and that Z has a negative 1 in front of it. How do I know that the Z has a negative 1 in front of it? How do you know that there's a negative 1 in front of the Z? Because it's minus Z. Very good. Now, you don't have to write the 1 because there's only how many Z's? 1 Z. That's it. Okay? All right. So the first thing that you needed to do was multiply by 4. And that takes care of the 4 at the bottom that's divided. What's my next step? No, I need to leave C by itself. So no, I can't. Take away 2y. Very good. That takes care of that. But I have a negative Z, so what's the last thing that I need to do? Divide by what? Negative 1. Very good. And I'm going to have to divide by negative 1 because there's a 1 right here. Okay? And I'm going to do all of that in that order to what letter? X. Thank you very much. Z is by itself, so I'm not doing it to Z, right? I'm doing all of that to make sure that Z is by itself. Alrighty. So Z equals 4x, because I multiply by 4. Then I take away 2y. Then I divide everything by negative 1. Not 1, negative 1. I don't need to divide by 1. Divided by 1 is not going to change a thing. But divided by negative 1 will change. What is 4x divided by negative 1? Thank you. Negative 4x. And what is negative 2y divided by negative 1? Positive 2y. And I'm done. And that's my answer. All right, for the next one. The length of 3 sides of a triangle are 16, 19, and 24. I'm walking around, and a lot of you are not using cubes. You're not highlighting. Maybe that's part of the reason why we might not do a little better. So organize your thinking. Highlight what's important. Circle what's important. You need to start. I don't want to read that problem more than once, okay? So you need to go ahead and start doing these things. So there's strategies that I'm teaching you for you to model so that it's easier to take the test when you actually take this test. Okay, the shortest side is decreased by a certain amount. Do you know what amount would that be? No, so what would that be? That would be your x. Very good. The next longer side, which would be the middle size, right, is decreased by twice this amount. So that will be 2x. Very good. And the longest side is also decreased by 3 times this amount. So that will be 3x. I'm sorry. For the triangle, the perimeter of 44. Find the length of the new triangle. Okay. So now you need to organize your thinking. Triangle has 3 sides. Shortest one would be 16. Middle one would be 19, and the other one, the longest one, would be 24. The shortest is decreased by a certain amount, so that would be minus x. And next to the shortest or next to the longest will be decreased by twice this amount, so that would be minus 2x. And then the longest side is decreased by 3 times this amount, which would be minus 3x. Now everybody needs to know that for perimeter, what do you do with all those sides? You add them up. So let's see if we can add anything up. And yes, we can, right? What's 16, 19, and 24? We're sure? Yes. And then negative 3, negative 2, negative x. Negative 6x. And that should be equal to 44, because that's your perimeter. Very good. And now after that, the calculator will take over, correct? How would you write it on the calculator? 59 minus 6x minus 44. Please don't blur it out. Don't blur it out. You ready? Go ahead and give me a name. X equals 45? I don't think so. What do we got, Monica? I think you're nodding, so that means you have an answer. Go for it. How much? 2.5, is that correct? Yes, it is. Very good. Now, is that my answer? Now, guess what the district, the snapshot will do on Friday? That will be your B, right? And that will not be your answer, okay? This is not the answer for any of those. Now you have to say 16 minus 2.5. 19 minus 2 times 2.5. And then 24 minus 3 times 2.5. Okay? Go ahead and do it and tell me what you got. Don't blur it out, please. I think this is 14. So whichever one is the math. Is that first one 13.5? Yes. Yes. And I can say 16.5? Yes. Okay? Yes. And then all you're doing is plugging in the x, right? Now, the district, the snapshot, or even my quizzes, right? It will not ask you for x. It will probably ask you for one of those sites, okay? And 2.5 will be an option as your answer, okay? Did you figure out what you're doing? All right, determine the domain and range. Okay, domain. All right, domain. Look, I added something. Domain would be your x's, and then your range will be your y's. Use that. Okay, how do I know? B comes before R, X comes before Y in the alphabet. Okay. Now, I really like to use highlighters over here because it's really hard for me to see it if I don't have highlighters. Okay, so that's my domain, right? Because it's X. And then this would be my range. See what I'm doing? Just as wide as the function, just as tall as the function. Now, there are definitely brackets over here because somebody was already telling me brackets. Good job. We got this. Okay, so what's my domain? 0, 2, 6. And then 0, 2, 9. Very good. Now remember, most of the time it will be written in like the crocodiles with the inequalities, okay? Just make sure that you have the right numbers. If I want to write the first one as with using inequalities, how would I write it? The x goes in the middle. It has to be bigger than 0. Bigger or equal to 0, but smaller or equal to 6. Now, and the other one it would be 9, but it would be y, right? But it would be y. Why? Because the range is y, and the domain is x. Okay? So basically, no, it would not be open because it includes 0. And it includes 6. What would happen if they weren't open? Like how would it be? That's open. Okay, so let's say, that's a good question. Did you have something like this from the quiz and a lot of people got it wrong? Okay? What's the domain there? 0 to 6, but does it include 6? No, it does not because it's not a closed circle, right? It's not a closed circle, so it does not, it's on the board wall. If it's not a closed circle, it does not, the brackets are no, the parentheses are not there. But if it doesn't include that number, if it's not a closed circle, it is not included. So the domain would be x less than 6, greater than or equal to 0. Notice how the letter always goes in the middle? See the numbers? Letter in the middle. That's how you can remember. Numbers, letter in the middle. So for the range, it would be y, right? It would be y is less than or equal to 9 or greater than or equal to 0. Okay? So every time it does not. Now what about this? What's the range now? What's the domain now? 0 to 10. Thank you very much. Because it does not include it here, but does it include it over there? Yes. Okay? So now the domain would be from 0 to 10 and brackets on both. Okay? What about the range? Let's say this over here is 8, and that's, well, it really doesn't matter which one the other one is. Let's say the other one is 7. What's the range? 0 to 8, right? Because if it doesn't include it over here, it is included here, right? So this range is going up and down. So if you find things like this where one is empty and one is open and one is full, but they're on the same spot, it doesn't include it on one, but it does include it on the other. So yes, this part of the range, or yes, this part of the zone. Okay? Now, if it was like this, then does it include the 6? No, heck no, right? Because it doesn't include it on one and it doesn't include it on the other one. Okay? So if one is empty and the other one is full, yes. And they're right underneath each other, correct? But if they're right underneath each other and both of them are empty, then no, it does not include it. So you have to take a look at those little dots and see if they're open. Are we good? Okay? All right. So what we're going to be doing today, I need you to pass out those letters. We're going to start our review. For those teens that got it right, tell me how you did it. Very good. That's a great strategy. She plugged in the answer choices. Very good. That was a great strategy. Over there at the end of the table. Got that right. Same thing, same strategy? Why not? Hey, why not? You have the choices, right? Why can you plug them in? Now, it takes you a little longer to do, but you still can do it, okay? Now, this is a lot of mumbo jumbo to tell you when you read that R was how much? 6.4. So I needed to substitute that. And then that you needed the value for what? For X. Probably the easiest strategy to do was to do that, was to plug in the numbers, okay? And then the one that gave you what? 6.4, ding, 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 that's your answer, okay? You got to learn how to work when you have A, B, C, D as well, okay? There's no shame in that. I probably would have done that. I would have realized now, I would have probably done that after I have said, okay, it needs to be equal to what? To 6.4, and I get that from my problem, right? Then I would have said 9 times 22.2, and then after I got that answer, I would have said divided that by 9 plus 22.2, and that was the only one that gave you 6.4. Good job for those that did it that way. No shame in that. That's probably the strategy that I would have used. All right, ready for the second one? Did you divide it? All right, start next one. Go. 2 minutes? No. 1, 2, 3. All right, tell me. Okay. The first thing that you needed to realize is that there was a 1 over there. Okay? And I gave you the hint. There's an invisible 1, right? I need to get rid of that 5. So this becomes 5 minus 1 for absolute value x plus 4 less than or equal to negative 3. Okay? All right, tell me. I'm going to say minus 5, right? Because I got to get rid of that 5 first. And then that becomes minus 1, absolute value of x plus 4, less than or equal to negative 8. Now, to get rid of that negative 1, I have to divide by a negative 1. And whenever you divide or multiply by a negative 1, what happens to the inequality? It's going to change. Very good. It's going to change, which means that is x plus 4. Instead of less than, it now becomes greater than or equal to. And negative 8 divided by negative 1 would be positive 8. Now remember, same inequality all the way to the front, but instead of a positive 8, it's going to be what? Negative 8. So negative 8, same inequality, all the way to the front, and then x plus 4. All right, and this is where you divide it. Cover the back, cover the front. Okay, and if you still do not know how to do this, there's a video that talks about this on my website, correct? All right, so negative 8, x plus 4. Yes, and I'm going to write both of them. Now I'm going to cover the front. X plus 4. All right, so take away 4. I'm sorry, not 8. Take away 4, right? And that would be negative 12. See, and that's where they did that, and I heard them. I said, okay, so it's not going to be V or B because it doesn't have that 12. Okay, so that's where they eliminated some stuff. Okay? So let's go all the way back. Minus 4, minus 4. Uh-oh. So x is greater than 4. Okay? So it has to be negative 12 and 4, which means it's not A and it's not B. Okay? Because it doesn't have the negative 4 and the positive 4 and the negative 12. Now I got to figure out if it's together or if it was or and the ors were pointing away from each other. Okay? So again, if you need to review some of this stuff before Friday, you go right ahead. All that is on the website. Okay? So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to graph and make sure that it is the union or the or where they're going. Those dots, because they're equal to. X is less than. The numbers that are less than negative 12 going to be to the left. And the numbers that are greater than 4 are going to be to the right. So this was an or, right? You either go to Target or Walmart because you're in 2 different places, right? This one is over here. That one is over there. We can meet at Target or Wally World, but we cannot meet at the same place because we're going to 2 different places. You got it? So the correct answer was D. All right. Next one. Go. Two. Real quick. Uh-oh. Yeah, we are. Okay, so the first step, I can't compete. Divide by 3. And then that gives you that 1 minus 1 4 x equals 3. Now you're going to have to do it with a positive 3 and a negative 3 because absolute value is both positive and negative because it's the distance between that number and 0. All right, so this would be 1 minus 1 4th x equals 3. 1 minus 1 4th x equals negative 3. I would use the equation solver, but just make sure that this goes inside. Remember, because the fractions always need to be inside parentheses. So I would have done 1 minus 1 4th x minus 3, and then 1 minus 1 4th, somebody's talking, plus 3. Okay, and then when you do that in the equation solver, you get that it was negative 8 and positive 16. Alrighty, next one, go. Go ahead and start. No talking right now. Ryan. Alright, so 9 4x minus 8 minus 4. I'm not even going to do all that. Just go to the question solver, okay? You don't mess with your MVP player, right? So the parentheses always stays the same. You just gotta change that 4. Now I would make sure that I don't have more negative x's. But over here would be 36x, and over here would be negative 24 x's. So our inequality stays exactly the same. So x is less than, equation solver does your thing, less than 9. All right? Let's do, yeah.